Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the media. Welcome to this week's post-cabinet press briefing. As you can see, we have Minister Harmon, Minister of State, who will be delivering the brief as per normal, and joining him is Minister of Public Infrastructure, Mr. David Patterson. We'll open with a statement from the Minister, and following which we will take a statement from Minister Patterson, and then we'll open the floor for questions. As is customary, please ensure that your mobile devices are switched off or are on silent. And when we come to the question and answer segment, usual protocols, one question and one follow-up question, and then we move to the next person. If you have additional questions, I'm sure it will come back to you. So let's respect that protocol today, please, and have a good post-cabinet briefing. Minister Harmon.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the media, and welcome to the post-cabinet press briefing for today, which deals with matters which were dealt with at Cabinet at its meeting of Tuesday, 5th of June 2018. Cabinet at its meeting was presented with a note by His Excellency the President, which dealt with his address at the Health Expo 2018, which was held on the 30th of May 2018. In his address, His Excellency outlined government's policy on health delivery to the citizenry of Guyana. The address, which was titled, "Public Health is a Public Good," His Excellency stated that public health services are a public good and are aimed at promoting the common good and at ensuring that every citizen can enjoy a good life. Cabinet received an audited financial statement of the Demerara Harbour Bridge Corporation for the year 2016, presented by the Honourable Minister of Public Infrastructure. The statement was noted and approved to be laid before the National Assembly. Cabinet also received from the Minister of Public Infrastructure the audited financial statements of the Chedijagan International Airport for the year 2015. This financial statement was also noted and approved to be laid in the National Assembly. Cabinet noted the ongoing studies, consultations, and negotiations regarding renewable energy geared towards the strengthening of energy security and supply within the 4 new townships of Bartica, Lethem, Madhya, and Mabruma, and some other areas. These projects are presently being executed by the Guyana Energy Agency and the Hinterland Electricity Company, Inc., both of which are under the purview of the Ministry of Public Infrastructure. And this is in keeping with government's commitment to providing reliable and affordable energy to the citizens of Guyana. Minister Patterson, who is there present today, will provide you with some more details about government's approach in this important sector of our country. The Honourable Minister of Finance presented to Cabinet a Treasury memorandum which responded to queries and recommendations in the report of the Public Accounts of Guyana for the year 2012, 2013, and 2014. Cabinet noted the efforts of the Ministry of Finance to address the concerns of the Parliamentary Committee and the detailed responses of the Ministry to the queries raised in every Ministry of Government, in every administrative region of Guyana. Cabinet also noted the conclusions of the report, which stated that there was excessive waste, abuse, and mismanagement of the public resources, as well as a lack of financial transparency, accountability, discipline, and full compliance with the FMA Act, the Audit Act, and the Procurement Act occurring over the years 2012, 2013, and 2014. Cabinet approved attendance at the Crisis Preparedness and Resilience Workshop to be held in Bridgetown, Barbados from June 11th to the 14th. This workshop is designed to strengthen the capacity of the UNDP countries, country offices, and government counterparts to prepare and respond to disasters by developing and implementing crisis preparedness plans. The workshop will be attended by Mr. Salim October, training officer attached to the Civil Defense Commission. Cabinet approved attendance at a technical workshop on developing national youth entrepreneurship policies and a Directors of Youth meeting in Trinidad and Tobago from June 11th to the 14th, 2018. The Director of Youth, Mrs. Melissa Carmichael, will attend the workshop and the meeting. Cabinet approved participation in the 5th Interregional Meeting of the National Commission on UNESCO to be held in Guyana, Kenya, from June 19th to the 21st. The aim of this meeting is to build capacities, enhance networking, and promote best practices of national commissions. Guyana will be represented at this meeting by Mrs. Patrice Lafleur, the Secretary General of UNESCO, Guyana. Cabinet approved Guyana's participation in the Farm to Table program, exporting food systems in Latin America, and that is to be held in Puerto Montt in Chile from June the 10th to the 15th. The Dr. Ozaze Dotson, Director, Veterinary Public Health Unit, Ministry of Health, and Mrs. Corneli Gibson Woodman, Health Inspector, Ministry of Public Health, will attend this program. Cabinet approved participation in an e-governance training program for Latin America and the Caribbean government officials from June 18th to the 22nd. It is expected that this program will provide the opportunity to advance e-government policy development and implementation. Mr. Francis Simmons, General Manager of the National Data Management Authority, will attend the program. Cabinet approved Guyana's participation at a Global Environment Facility project titled Development for Waste and Chemical Management in the Caribbean region in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago from July 16th to the 17th. Mrs. Odessa Duncan, Senior Environmental Officer attached to the Environmental Protection Agency, will attend the meeting. Cabinet received a presentation by representatives of the North Rupununi District Development Board for a declaration of a study area to facilitate the development of an integrated land use plan for the sustainable management and conservation of the North Rupununi wetlands. Cabinet expressed its appreciation for the presentation and gave guidance on the way forward for the proposal. I now invite Minister Patterson, Minister of Public Infrastructure, to address the conference on the other matters which I spoke about.
Thank you very much, Minister Harmon. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen in the media. From the start of our term in office, it should be noted that renewable energies was one of the pillars under which a green economy powered by renewable energy is one of the pillars on which we stood. Additionally, with the naming of new tongues, it has been our stated policy that these new tongues should be powered by renewable energy as quickly as possible. To that end, my ministry was tasked with developing a roadmap to have these new tongues powered with renewable energy. And this we did in collaboration with with GEA, Hinton Electricity Corporation, GPL. We had Ministry of Natural Resources on board, as well as Office of the Climate Change were all on board. I presented an update to Cabinet, which was approved, and I now present the same to you. With regards to Bartica, we will be installing a 1.5 megawatts solar farm with storage, and obviously with storage means that we can extend the life. The value of this is $3.87 million US. It will be funded by a loan, the IDB loan, and the IDB loan is diversification, the power matrix, and power and energy security. The commencement, it shall be commenced in 2018 and has a completion time of 1.5 years, 18 months. As we speak, we are completing the feasibility studies for the location and commencing the EIA process. Additionally, we will be constructing a micro hydropower project of 1 megawatt at Ikiribisi. Funding for this has been submitted, will be done under the GRIF funding, Guyana Green Plus Investment Fund. The cost being total investment cost is $5.22 million US. The time frame for implementation is 2.5 years, 2.5 years. And at the moment, there are technical and economic assessments are being conducted at this site. However, it was determined additional topographical surveys will be needed to conduct advanced assessment. Basically, we are scoping. It will be a run on a river. We are doing investigations into such things as where the distribution line will go run into to hook up to Bartica. This falls is just below Bartica, or just below or above, depending on which way you look at it, and it's 1 megawatt. And it is commenced in 2018. We have commenced studies, and we 2.5 years to completion. For LETEM, we will be installing a 1 megawatt solar PV farm with storage, and this is once again on the IDB loan, diversification, the energy matrix, and energy security. The investment cost is $2.6 million US. The implement period time is 1.5 years once again, and it is commencing 2018. And we are at the same position as we are with the Bartica farm with that. We will also be installing a dual hydro system for LETEM, with a total of 2.2 megawatts, which is Makamaka and Kumu hydro systems. The funding will be from the UAE CREF funding, which is grant funding, which is for the UAE government, which was announced, I think this was announced in January. And as well as some, and the Kumu funding from the GRIF funding. The total investment costs for both are, for Mokomoko is 2.2 million, for Kumu is 6.42 million. The time frame is 2.5 years. There's a site visit which has been scheduled for Mokomoko. There is a geotechnical study which is ongoing at the moment, which is funded by the IDB. And that report will be received in the next quarter, in the third quarter of 2018. As you can remember, there was a failure with the previous hydropower, so we want to ensure that we don't do the same mistake again. For Madia, we will be installing a PV system, 0.65 megawatts with storing, funding from the IDB loan once again. The investment cost is $1.8 million US, 1.5 years installation period, and we're commencing this year. Chumachamari Hydro Project, which is 2.2 megawatts. At the moment, the Chumachamari project is with a private, it's a private developer, Chumachamari Holding Inc. That was, they have pegged a total investment cost of $4.4 million US. It has been with them for quite a while. They said they're about to do financial closure. We've given them up to the end of July 2018 to reach financial closure with their investors. Should that be achieved, we've already started negotiating a heads of agreement with them, and the heads of agreement goes like this. It's a 20-year, should they have financial close, it's a 20-year power purchase agreement. For the first 5 years, the cost will be 14 cents. For the next 5 years, it will be reduced to 12, and for the remaining 10 years, it will be 10 US cents per megawatt. And obviously the offtake will be the Madia Power Company. Just for clarification, should they not be able to reach financial closure, the government will take over the project and put it as one of our priority projects.
10 US cents per kilowatt.
The 14, 12, and 10 per kilowatt. Yes, US cents. Yeah, thank you, Adam. I was just making sure you're paying attention. Mabaruma, we will be installing, there is at the moment a 0.4 megawatt with storage being installed. That was funded by our national budget. It's slated to be completed in August 2018. The investment cost was $1.3 million US. Construction is ongoing, and you're invited to come to the opening in August of first solar. And we will be, from Abaruma, a micro hydropower, which is 0.02 megawatts. That's been funded by our national budget and GIZ RITA. That's a very small project. It's about 200,000 US. Construction commences in the third quarter of 2018, and it should be finished mid next year. We have, while not leaving the new tongues aside, we have a utility scale solar PV for West Coast Berbice. It's going to Narsagat. That's the name. Narsagai. That is, sorry. This has been funded by a grant funding by the People's Republic of China. It's the total investment cost, the grant funding that we are to finalize, but it is a 4 megawatt PV system with a substation. The feasibility studies are being conducted at the moment. They paid a visit. They were here just up to 2 weeks ago. We've signed the MOU. The commencement date is this year, 2018. Kato Hydro Project, as you would know, that has been funded by the IDB Sustainability Energy Program of Guyana. That is 0.1 megawatts. Total investment cost is $2 million US. The funding has been secured. It will be done in a combination with the government of Guyana, contractors, GA, and private contractors. We're just simply waiting on the weather to improve so we can get our equipment up there. Hope Beach Wind Farm, as you know, that is funding with private sector. The time frame is two years. We have a draft heads of agreement is under negotiation as the grid code requirements are being reviewed by the developer. They have made significant progress. We have made significant progress with both parties, and obviously it's just a matter. But the last outstanding issue as of last week, technical issue, was the size and design of the substation. Should that be agreed by GPL, then we will go on to the final stage, which is obviously the heads agreement and the power purchase agreement. We have funding for IRENA, under IRENA, which is for Kokwani, a 1 megawatt, Matthews Ridge, a 0.4 megawatt, Port Kaintuma, 0.6 megawatt solar PV farm with storage, and that is done under the IRENA grant. Kokwani will be $2.6 million US, Port Kaituma, $1.8 million US, and Matthews Ridge, $2 million US. Finally, installation of PV solar systems to government building. We commenced doing this in 2017. To date, we've installed about 2.5 megawatts of solar PV on government buildings, including this building which we're under. The total investment since 2017 is $7.7 million US. That would bring you where we are at. And I must say that one last thing is, as you know, in February, His Excellency traveled to India, and we are now a member of the International Solar Alliance. And we have a line of credit, which is outside, which we haven't allocated as yet, of $15 million US. The idea with this is to have some indigenous villages powered, as well as some other areas. The Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs has been tasked, and the ministry community has been tasked with identifying the villages. We're not doing rooftop, we're actually doing utility scale installations that will power the entire village. We do anticipate that we will have about 4 megawatts coming out of that program. So in summary, at the end of 2018, we would have installed, end of this year, we will install about 5 megawatts. 5 megawatts of renewable energy, and that's a commendable feat coming from 2015 with 0. And then by the end of 2020, when all these projects would have been completed by 2020, it'll be about 29 or 30 megawatts. So we're well on our way to achieving our target of trying to become as 100% powered renewable for energy, as close as possible, depending on resources, obviously. So we have made progress. We are at about now, we're just about 4 or 5% at the end of 2018, and then obviously we'll triple that by the end of 2020. Thank you.
Okay, so my question is off statement. ExxonMobil recently divulged to the media that its interpretation of local content is, well, part of its interpretation of local content is monies that it invests in the economy. And this not only goes for the monies that the company itself invests, but also its contractors and subcontractors. Is this in sync with government's view or interpretation of local content? Because there are criticisms since the list has been produced.
Okay, let me say this, that people, every entity looking at something can have an interpretation as to what local content is, and or what is the cost of that local content, what is the value of it. What I can say to you is that we have been working assiduously on local content legislation. And we have actually made public contracts which have been entered into between the government of Guyana and oil companies, mining companies, contracts with respect to what you call local content. All of these have been made public by the government. And I want to say that it is the government and the people of this country that will help fashion what is the correct interpretation of local content. It is for us to determine. The companies will come, companies will go, and they will say what their interpretation is. But it is for us as a people to determine what local content is. We have actually released the contracts, and we believe that that level of transparency, that level of accountability is unheard of in Guyana previously. We would have seen several major contracts undertaken, the Skeldon Estate, the Mila Falls, and all of these major contracts that the government had entered into without this level of public disclosure. And so I want to say that we are now on a different level. I believe we are on the cusp of something that is very good for the country, and that is the question of defining for ourselves what local content is. And in that regard, I believe that the conversations, the debate that's taking place in the public space will help us in defining that particular issue. As I said, it is already engaging our attention with respect to legislation. And so as a matter of what it is or what it is not, we will eventually come to that point when we have legislation debated in the National Assembly. And that is what I would like to say. I would not want to speculate as to, what is an interpretation to be given to a fact. That is to say, a fact of the matter is that the publication has been made about companies that are benefiting and so on from the investment that is taking place here in Guyana. And beyond that, I would not wish to venture.
It's always a praise of Fabric News. Minister Harman, in keeping with a call made by the Guyana Ministers Fellowship last week, can you say what is government's position on homosexuality, please?
On homosexuality?
Yes, sir.
What I can say to you is that it's not a matter which was dealt with at Cabinet, and I cannot say right now what the specific issue, the specific policy. What I can say to you is that there are certain rights of Guyanese. Guyanese have rights guaranteed under the Constitution. Article 147.1 in particular guarantees a right to association, the right to demonstrate. And these rights, as a government, it is our duty to protect these rights. And because the Constitution says every citizen or everyone, except he or she determines that they do not want that right to be guaranteed, that it is a right under the Constitution. And so as a government, it is our duty to ensure that the rights of all citizens are protected. They have a right to associate with persons of similar interests. It's all guaranteed under Article 147 of the Constitution. So I would not want to venture to say or to declare what is the policy and this and the policy. I've heard about I'm listening and I'm seeing the debate that's going on in the public space. But what I want to say is that government's position is that we have a duty under the Constitution to protect the right of assembly, the right of demonstration of every citizen of this country. And therefore, I would not wish to say what is the government's view on this or the government's view on that. We are dealing with constitutional matter here, which is a constitutional right. And if we were to violate that, then basically we put ourselves at risk of challenge again.
Just to follow up, is this matter likely to be discussed at the level of cabinet at some point?
I believe it's not on the agenda right now, but it is a matter that is generating some heat in the media, and certainly we take notice of these things when they are debated, and the appropriate time we will debate it, and we'll have a position made known in the public.
Right, and James, Nightly News. Minister, representatives of the Mayor and City Council were slated to make a presentation before Cabinet on the parking meter bylaws. As a Cabinet, was any consideration given to the presentation which was made, and was it found to be beneficial? I have a follow-up just after.
Well, the presentation was made last week. Well, it was made at the last Cabinet. It was deferred for another date.
Yanis Abrams, MTV News Update. Sir, the last time we had the post-cabinet meeting, I asked concerning the gas prices. Has the government considered any sort of subvention since there has been a lot of protests recently?
The Minister Patterson will take that one.
As you know, the government Ministry of Business is engaging the various minibuses association. We've asked them to document, because obviously document all their issues, so we can address it holistically. So that is the point where we are at the moment. We are engaging them. No decision has been made as yet on the final what we shall do.
Adam Harris, Prime News. Sir, you spoke about getting the finance report for the years 2012 to 2014, and you said there were some discoveries: waste, mismanagement, abuse of resources. Could you explain in this report what caused you to arrive at such conclusions?
Well, it is not my conclusion. It is the conclusion of the report. And this is from the response which was given by the Ministry of Finance to several queries which were made by the Public Accounts Committee and contained, I believe, in the Public Accounts of Guyana for those years. So this I understand also to be one of the most detailed response by the government in over 24 years, 25 years, to a list of queries by the Public Accounts Committee. My understanding from persons who've actually served in that committee was that responses in the past were about 2 pages. This is about 10 or 12 pages, detailing every single ministry of government, every regional democratic council, and departments also of the government, so that all of these detailed reports, and I believe it will be made public shortly enough, so that once it is laid in the National Assembly, then it will be a public document, and you'll be able to see the extent to which we have gone to answer these queries, because we believe it is important to ensure that what we do is transparent, and that the claims which were made hitherto by some persons who were in government before, that they are laid bare in this report. So those were not my conclusions. These were the conclusions of the report which was laid before us in the cabinet.
Minister, ExxonMobil says that it is open to an audit of the 460 million pre-contract costs. Will government pursue such an audit?
Well, I don't know, David, you want to
Well,
say
because
that?
the answer is obviously yes to everything like that.
Yes.
We've always said, and it's always been clear. I mean, I don't know where it is that any cost all cost recovery will have to be audited. We've said that all the while. I don't know where they've said 460. We'll interrogate it. I mean, I'm sure Kaito News carried several exposés about when the tax bureau audited countries in other places, how they found that out that is reduced. Similar here, it's done here. I mean, it's just they stated a number, we'll audit it. I don't know what the frequency the auditing will be for the second phase, the exploration phase, or whatever it is. We will audit every single cost that they put in before you think it.
Quick follow-up to that question. Why didn't the government audit this figure before having it put into the contract?
Because we can audit it. I mean, you can audit post or pre. So therefore, obviously, I mean, you can audit it anytime. being in the contract doesn't mean that it's unauditable.
That's right.
I have two half follow-up, which will be one.
Like a
The first
trickster.
The first one, Minister, I think the timeline, I think August was given as a timeline when the Department of Energy will be fully functional. Can you say the progress made there? And secondly, can you say where we are with reviewing the proposed cybercrime bill?
Well, first of all, that you have a timeline. We're in June at this time, and by August you will get a full update. I can tell you that work is going on with respect to the functioning and the staffing and so on of that entity. I also said to you that the Department of Energy is not something that is starting from scratch, because the persons who are in the oil and petroleum and gas department of the Ministry of Natural Resources are the initial personnel that made up the Department of Energy. So it's not like you're starting from scratch. You already have resources there, and it's basically building on that. But by August, you'll have a full statement as to where we are. I would not want to venture to say exactly what it is that's happening now, but suffice it to say that work is going on the establishment of that department.
Cybercrime.
Cybercrime bill is before, in fact, Cabinet is looking at it. We are going to have a discussion on it at the level of all of our members of Parliament. I don't remember exactly the date when that is going to be, but we're going to have a full discussion on it. And arising out of that discussions, any further debate, any further statements will be made. But we're going to have a full discussion by not just the ministers, but all members of Parliament on the government side.
Minister Harman, the list of CPL host countries was recently released. Guyana is not on that list. Inquiries would have revealed, well, according to your organizers, this is due to inaction on the part of the Guyana government in terms of reaching an agreement. A response to that?
Well, you know, we are a cricket-loving country, and CPL, I believe, has had its best years in Guyana since the tournament started. And so I would believe these are still preliminary times that I think it is clear that the Jaguar, our local team, the Warriors are the Amazon Warriors. I'm thinking football, cricket at the same time. That the Amazon Warriors have already become part of that of the games to be played. It's just a matter of the finalization of the agreement between the government of Guyana and the central organizer of CPL. I can assure you that we are still having active discussions, and that the people of Guyana will have cricket.
Minister Patterson, I didn't think you answered the question concerning the gas prices itself. Is the government planning to do any sort of subvention concerning gas prices, not the minibus union, but gas prices?
That is all part of the whole menu of measures which we're considering. I mean, if gas prices will be moved, if water outages, we want to look at it holistically, and that's what we're doing in the moment. So engage in them.
If I can thief quickly, Amila Falls Road. Sorry. And thank you. Amila Falls Road, we spent $45 million on that road. On your solar farms and what have you, the total is much, much less. What is the state of that road now? Is it being maintained? What's happening there?
It is not. It's there. The primary user of the road obviously would be Troy Resources. They use Section 4, I think. There are some other miners that would use the road. As I said, I think I announced a couple of weeks ago, well, maybe a month ago, that we'll be looking at our road users agreement to charge users to ensure that we can get funds to maintain it. It is in reasonably passable condition at the moment. No one is actually maintaining it or regulating it at the moment, but we're seeking to put in a road users review agreement shortly.
All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the media. Thank you, ministers. That's a wrap.